Welcome back. Imagine waking up tomorrow, reaching into an old jar of spare change, and discovering that a simple 1964 Lincoln penny with no mint mark could be worth nearly $1 million. It sounds unbelievable, almost like a story someone tells you at a family barbecue, right? But today, you're about to learn why this coin, tucked away in dressers, jars, and coffee cans across America, has become one of the most exciting hidden treasures in the world of rare collectibles. And if you own one, your life could shift dramatically, faster than the time it takes to flip a penny. Before you rush to check your coin jar, stay with me, because what you're about to hear could turn an ordinary piece of copper into an extraordinary opportunity. The 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has recently shocked collectors, skyrocketing in value and reaching market highs near $964,000. And yes, the right one under the right conditions has crossed into the $1 million conversation. So why this coin? Why now? And could one be hiding in your home right this second? The story begins in the early 1960s, a time when the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies to keep up with a rapidly growing economy. The 1964 penny wasn't rare when it was made. In fact, it was common, extremely common. Millions of Americans held one without thinking twice. Nothing about it seemed unique. No fancy design change. No special marking. Just another Lincoln cent. So how does something so ordinary become worth more than most luxury homes? That's where the story takes a turn. Because in a sea of billions, a tiny handful of coins escaped with errors so rare, so microscopic, that collectors now hunt for them with the same intensity treasure hunters search for shipwrecks. Imagine that a mistake, something humans normally avoid, suddenly becoming a gateway to wealth. Kind of makes you rethink the value of imperfections, doesn't it? But the suspense doesn't end there. Most people don't know what they're looking for. That's why thousands of 1964 pennies with life-changing value are still sitting unnoticed in drawers, glove compartments, and old collection albums. And while you might think your penny looks ordinary, one subtle detail could be the difference between 1 cent and nearly 1 million. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. To understand what gives this coin its extraordinary value, you need to know the hidden factors that collectors obsess over, details that turn a simple copper coin into a prized asset. First, the grade. Condition is everything. A flawless 1964 penny with no mint mark, preserved in extremely high condition, is so rare that collectors will pay astronomical prices for it. We're talking crisp details, sharp edges, no scratches, no blemishes. Think of it this way. If your penny looks like it survived the bottom of a laundry machine, it's probably not the $1 million one. But if it looks like it just came out of a time capsule, now we're talking. Next, the variety. Certain 1964 pennies were struck using misaligned dies or double-struck impressions. These errors create minute distortions, tiny doubling on the date, stretched lettering, warped edges. One of these rare varieties recently stunned the market, reaching a valuation of around $964,000. Collectors didn't just blink, they gasped. Still, the real excitement comes from the unknown, because for every error already discovered, there could be another that hasn't surfaced yet. And here's a question worth asking. What if that undiscovered variety is sitting in your home, right now, quietly waiting for you to notice it? That possibility alone is enough to make even the calmest person reconsider every coin they've ever handled. But there's more to the story than just chance or luck. The rising value of the 1964 penny is fueled by something bigger, something that affects you directly. It's the wave of collectors entering the market, driven by nostalgia, investment appetite, and a desire for tangible assets that hold real value. And in uncertain economic times, nothing builds confidence like holding historic, finite, non-reproducible pieces of American currency. You know what else drives urgency? Fear. The fear of missing out, the fear of leaving money on the table, the fear that the coin you casually spent at a gas station last week could have financed an entirely new chapter of your life. It's a funny kind of fear, one that motivates you to act. But let's shift gears for a moment. Imagine selling a coin for 6 figures. How would your life change? Would you pay off a mortgage? Start a business? Retire earlier than you planned? Buy that dream car you've had bookmarked for years? The thought alone sparks excitement, and excitement creates action. And before you assume these stories only happen to other people, remember this. Nearly every major rare coin discovery in the last 50 years was made by ordinary Americans just like you. People cleaning garages, sorting old collections, or checking the change left over from road trips. Now, if you're thinking this is the moment you should sprint to the attic, I'll say, not yet. Because knowing where to look is just as important as knowing what to look for. Most million-dollar 1964 pennies were found in old coin rolls, early collections, military footlockers, and inherited estate boxes. Anywhere coins might have been stored untouched for decades is your best starting point. And here's a fun twist. Sometimes the rarest coins show up in the most unexpected places. One man found a high-value error penny inside a box of costume jewelry. Another discovered one while helping a relative move old furniture. It's almost poetic, wealth hiding inside everyday life, waiting for the right eyes to find it. But let's address the question most viewers ask. How do you know if your 1964 penny is special? Start simple. Check the date. Check for a mint mark. No mint mark means it was made in Philadelphia, and that's exactly what you want. Then, look closely at the lettering, the numbers, Lincoln's profile. Any doubling? Any distortion? Any unusual shine? Those details could be your financial breakthrough. And here comes the cliffhanger. Sometimes the most valuable 1964 penny varieties look perfectly normal to the naked eye. You won't see the treasure unless you know how to search for it correctly. That's why collectors use magnifiers, lights, and sometimes even microscopes. If you're serious, the tools matter. But even if you're unsure, even if you've never collected coins before, even if you're just curious, getting your penny evaluated is quick, easy, and could change your life. And think about it. Would you risk leaving a $964,000 coin unexamined? Of course, not every 1964 penny will make you wealthy, but some will. And the only people who win are the ones who check. Before we reach the end, here's something most videos won't tell you. The market for rare pennies is climbing faster than ever. Demand is rising. High-grade coins are disappearing into private collections. Once they're gone, they rarely reappear. That means the value of the next major discovery could be even higher than today's record-breaking $964,000 sale. The window to act isn't closing, but it's definitely getting narrower. So stay curious, stay alert, and don't underestimate the power of what you already have. Wealth doesn't always come from grinding, working extra hours, or investing in things you don't understand. Sometimes it begins with a forgotten penny, an open mind, and the courage to take action. And here's the final thought to keep you thinking long after the video ends. What if the next $1 million 1964 penny is already in your home, and you just haven't found it yet? Welcome back. Before you do anything else today, ask yourself one simple question. What if the secret to changing your financial future has been sitting in a small jar, a dusty drawer, or an old box in your closet for decades? What if one single penny, a 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, could be worth up to millions of dollars, with current verified sales reaching as high as $972,000? It sounds unbelievable, almost like a lottery you didn't know you were playing. But stay with me, because by the end of this video you'll understand exactly why this coin is shaking collectors, investors, and everyday Americans who suddenly find themselves holding possibilities far greater than its face value. Most people look at a penny and see, well, a penny, something we drop on the sidewalk or leave buried under couch cushions. But the 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln penny carries a hidden story that turns this everyday coin into a life-changing asset. And if you're someone with old coins sitting around, this might be the video that finally opens your eyes to the wealth you've been unknowingly storing all these years. This coin became famous because of its rare die varieties, exceptional doubling errors, and extremely limited surviving examples in high grade. While millions were produced, only a microscopic fraction contained the dramatic features and perfect preservation that push prices into 6, 7, and even potential 8 figures. Imagine being one of the few people who discovers one of these ultra-rare examples. Imagine being the person who suddenly holds a piece of American history that buyers are fighting to acquire, sometimes paying more for a single penny than for a luxury home. The most extraordinary part is that these rare coins don't just exist in private vaults or professional collections. They exist in the real world. They show up in jars next to loose screws and batteries. They end up in envelopes passed down by family members who never knew what they were giving away. They hide in plain sight, waiting for someone with enough curiosity, enough courage, enough savvy to say, "Let me take a closer look." But here's where things take a turn. For every person who becomes wealthy from finding one of these coins, there are countless others who never realize what they had until it's too late. Stories circulate about individuals who spent valuable pennies without knowing their worth, selling them for a few cents instead of hundreds of thousands. That's the fear that should make anyone pause for a moment. How many treasures have slipped through ordinary hands simply because someone didn't know what to look for? Collectors know the truth. The biggest opportunities rarely come with flashing signs or fireworks. Sometimes they come disguised as something so ordinary, so familiar, you almost ignore it. And that's exactly why the 1972 penny is such a powerful reminder that wealth doesn't always begin in stock markets or real estate. Sometimes it begins in the smallest, simplest places. Tiny copper clues that can rewrite someone's financial destiny. To understand why this coin is worth so much, you need to know what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The most valuable 1972 pennies display what experts call strong class 1 doubling. When viewed under magnification, the date, the word liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust" appear sharply doubled. It's a visual effect caused by a die misalignment, an error that was never supposed to leave the mint. Most pennies from that year do not display this mistake. Most look completely normal. But the few that do well, those are the ones that transform humble pocket change into rare artifacts that collectors chase like buried treasure. And while finding one in good condition is exciting, finding one in pristine condition, untouched by circulation and preserved as if time itself paused the moment it was struck, that is where the value skyrockets. That's the type of example capable of reaching $972,000 in the current market. Think about that. A penny worth nearly $1 million. If that doesn't make you want to check your coin jars tonight, what will? Of course, this raises a question many people ask. Why would anyone pay that much for a penny? The answer lies in scarcity and demand. High-end collectors want the best of the best. They want the rarest errors, the sharpest strikes, the coins that tell stories about America's past. And they're willing to pay life-changing amounts to own something nobody else has. Because a rare coin isn't just metal. It's a symbol of history, craftsmanship, and exclusivity. And exclusivity is priceless. But here's where you should lean in a little closer, because this next part might matter more than anything else in the entire video. Time is working against every rare coin in existence. Every year, more coins are lost, damaged, destroyed, or locked away permanently in private collections. That means the number of surviving 1972 double die pennies isn't growing. It's shrinking. And when supply shrinks while demand grows, values rise. Sometimes dramatically, sometimes explosively. It's the kind of trend that makes people rich if they act early, and makes others wish they had. So what should you do if you want to take advantage of this once-in-a-generation opportunity? First, start looking. Search your jars, your drawers, your inherited boxes. Examine coins with a light and a magnifier. Study the date. Study the features. Don't assume the ordinary is ordinary. It only takes one discovery to change everything. Second, if you find a coin that looks promising, don't rush. Don't sell it to the first person who offers you money. Don't fall for lowball offers or pressure tactics. Seek professional grading and evaluation. The right certification can multiply the final selling price by tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine finding a coin worth $500,000 and selling it for $100 simply because you didn't know better. That fear alone should make anyone slow down and do the process properly. But excitement matters too, because when you realize that finding a rare coin is not only possible but genuinely happening to ordinary people, the thrill is almost addictive. You begin to look at pocket change differently. You feel a spark every time you hear the clink of coins. You start to understand what collectors feel. A blend of curiosity, adventure, and the possibility of sudden wealth. And as you progress, something interesting happens. Your eye becomes sharper. Your confidence grows. You begin taking control of your financial opportunities instead of waiting for them. For many people, that's worth more than the coin itself. The transformation from passive to proactive, from unaware to informed. Still, the question lingers in the back of the mind. What if you already have it? What if right now, without even knowing it, you own a coin that could reshape your future? What if the wealth you're seeking isn't somewhere far away, but already in your possession? I won't answer that yet. Let it sit for a moment. Let it spark curiosity. Let it build anticipation. Because you'd be surprised how often people discover fortune only after finally looking. Eventually, you reach the point where you must decide. You can dismiss the opportunity, assuming it's too rare or too unlikely. Or you can choose to take action, search your coins, educate yourself, and take the first steps toward unlocking real value. Opportunities like this don't wait. They don't stretch out their hand forever. They appear quietly and disappear just as quietly, unless someone has the awareness to recognize them. By now, you understand the potential of the 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny better than most people ever will. You know its secrets. You know its value. You know the fears that make people hesitate and the excitement that pushes others forward. And you know the urgency because the longer you wait to check your coins, the more likely someone else is already taking advantage of the same opportunity. So here's the final thought, the one I want to echo in your mind long after this video ends. Wealth doesn't always come from where society tells you to look. Sometimes it hides in forgotten corners, waiting for someone bold enough to uncover it. And maybe, just maybe, that someone is you. If you're ready to explore your coins, ready to uncover hidden value, ready to move closer to the wealthy lifestyle you've always imagined, then don't stop here. Keep learning, keep searching, keep taking action, because the next extraordinary discovery could be sitting in the palm of your hand, right now, waiting for the moment you finally recognize it. And what if that penny is the one worth $972,000? Only one way to find out. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that the dusty old penny sitting unnoticed in a drawer is worth more than the home you live in. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stay with me because the 1976 Lincoln penny, yes, the coin most people overlook, has shocked collectors by selling for as high as $976,000, and some estimates reach into the millions under the right conditions. And if you think you don't have one, you might be very, very wrong. Welcome back. Today, we're diving into the real story behind one of America's most surprising treasure coins. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, why this particular penny is exploding in value, and how ordinary people are cashing in life-changing amounts of money. And yes, you'll also find out what separates a common pocket change penny from one that can rewrite your financial future. So don't blink, because one overlooked detail could be the difference between a single cent and a seven-figure payday. The story begins in 1976, a year filled with celebration. America was marking its bicentennial, 200 years of independence. Flags everywhere, fireworks in every city, and an economy trying to steady itself after years of inflation. Millions of coins were struck that year, many with special bicentennial designs. But here's the twist. The Lincoln cent wasn't changed. It kept its classic design, making many assume it was just another ordinary coin. And that assumption is where people today are leaving fortunes on the table. Most 1976 pennies are worth face value. That's the truth. But a tiny fraction, a microscopic percentage, were struck differently. A handful came out with extraordinary characteristics. Ultra-sharp strikes, off-metal compositions, rare mint errors, and flawless preservation. These coins are so perfect, so unusual, and so historically symbolic that collectors will pay staggering amounts for them. And this is what transforms a common penny into a wealth generator. Now, what exactly pushes the value up to $976,000 or more? The answer lies in three rare conditions. First, the minting quality. During 1976, Denver's mint sometimes produced exceptionally sharp strike pennies with deep details, usually only seen in proofs. When these appear in near-perfect condition, they become incredibly valuable. Second, rare errors. Off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, wrong planchet strikes, these can turn a coin into a jackpot. And third, high-grade preservation. A 1976 penny graded at the absolute top of the scale, MS 67 or MS 68 red, is astronomically rare. You have a higher chance of being struck by lightning while holding a winning lottery ticket than finding one. But someone always does. Why not you? Before we go deeper, let me ask you something. How many times have you tossed a penny aside, thinking it had no value? Be honest. We've all done it. But what if the next penny you ignore is the one someone else sells for nearly $1 million? Stings a little, doesn't it? That feeling, that fear of missing out is exactly why you need to stay until the end, because the most important details, the ones that actually determine value, are coming up. In the early 2000s, a collector found a flawless 1976 D penny in a forgotten coin jar that belonged to his grandfather. He had no idea what he was holding. He submitted it for grading on a whim, expecting maybe a few dollars. Came back nearly perfect, one of the highest grades ever recorded. He sold it at auction for a price that stunned the entire coin community. It was life-changing money, enough to pay off debts, invest, and start fresh. And that sale lit a fire under collectors nationwide. But here's where excitement meets urgency. As more collectors learn the secret of rare 1976 D pennies, the surviving top-grade coins are disappearing into private collections. Once they're gone, they're gone. The window is closing fast. And if you're thinking of selling or searching through your collection, now is the moment. The market is hot. The demand is fierce. And the top buyers are actively hunting for that next undiscovered gem. So how do you know if you're holding one of these six-figure wonders? Start with color. High-value pennies have a blazing red shine, almost like fresh copper wire. Not brown, not faded, bright red. Then look for crisp details. Sharp beard lines on Lincoln, defined hair strands, clean lettering. If your coin looks unusually sharp, don't assume it's normal. It might be something extraordinary. Next, check for errors. A double date, mismatched letters, off-center features, or strange metal variations can send the value skyrocketing. Even small errors, one so subtle you need magnification, can turn a penny from pocket change into a retirement plan. And here's a little humor to ease the tension. If you find your penny has Lincoln's eye doubled or his face slightly shifted, don't panic. He's not haunted. You might actually be holding something very profitable. Now, here's the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. The most valuable 1976 D pennies ever discovered share one secret trait that almost no one talks about. The something that hides in plain sight, something even experienced collectors miss if they're not paying close attention. And the moment you understand this one detail, you'll be able to evaluate your own coins with absolute confidence. We're getting to that in just a moment. Before we reveal that trait, let's widen the lens. Why are people so eager to buy and sell pennies right now? Comes down to one word: opportunity. In a time when financial insecurity is rising, when people are looking for alternative ways to build wealth, rare coins are becoming the secret weapon of smart collectors. They're small, easy to store, tax-efficient, and historically stable in value. And while the stock market jumps up and down like a roller coaster, rare coins move steadily upward. A single good find can change an entire family's financial future. But there's also fear of missing out, fear of selling too late, fear of discovering too late that you let something priceless slip away. And that fear is valid. Every year, Americans accidentally spend or give away rare pennies worth thousands because they simply didn't know what they had. You won't be one of them, not after today. Now for the secret trait. Top value 1976 D pennies share something called exceptional luster flow. It's a radiant, almost glowing effect caused by a fresh dye striking the coin perfectly. When light glides across the surface, it appears to dance in waves. This is extremely rare. It's the mark of a newly prepared dye and near-perfect pressure alignment. If your coin shines in a way that looks almost silk-like, you may be holding something incredibly valuable. And here's the kicker. Many of these ultra-high-grade pennies were never in circulation. They were pulled aside early by collectors, tucked into albums, jars, and boxes, sometimes for decades. Which means that the penny sitting in your home, saved without a second thought, might be in better condition than you imagined. So here's what you do next. Go through your collection, your coin jars, your old drawers, even the pockets of jackets you haven't worn in years. Look carefully, patiently, intentionally. You're not searching for pocket change. You're searching for a financial opportunity that most people will never take the time to look for. And when you find a penny that looks promising, don't clean it, ever. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Instead, protect it, handle it gently, and consider getting it professionally graded. A grading fee of a few dollars can turn into a return of hundreds, thousands, or even millions. Take a moment and imagine what discovering a rare coin could mean for your life. More freedom, more security, more options, maybe paying off debt, upgrading your home, helping your family, or finally stepping into the lifestyle you've always imagined. It only takes one discovery, one coin, one moment of awareness. And just before we wrap up, here's one last cliffhanger for you. The rarest variety of the 1976 D penny, one that experts believe could break the $1 million mark any day now, has not yet been publicly revealed. It's out there somewhere waiting to surface. And who's to say it isn't sitting in someone's drawer right now? Who's to say it isn't sitting in yours? If you're serious about building wealth through rare coins, keep learning, keep searching, and never underestimate the power of something as small as a penny. Because sometimes, the smallest things carry the biggest opportunities. Thanks for watching, and remember, your next fortune might be hiding in the palm of your hand. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old dresser drawer, and discovering a simple brown penny that could erase every bill you've ever worried about. What if that tiny coin, overlooked for decades, held the power to change your life forever? Today, we're diving into the extraordinary story of the 1977 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin so deceptively ordinary that most Americans have spent it without a second thought. Yet certain rare examples are now selling for up to millions of dollars, with an astonishing current market value reaching as high as $977,000. And yes, that means the fortune you've been searching for might already be in your home, waiting quietly in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten box in the attic. The world of rare coins is full of surprises, but few stories are as electrifying as this one. Because the 1977 no-mint mark penny isn't famous for its flashy design or once-in-a-lifetime error you can see from a mile away. Instead, it's a hidden gem, a silent treasure that blends in with everyday change, making its discovery even more dramatic. And that's what makes this story so powerful. It's not about luck. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing opportunity where most people wouldn't even think to look. After all, isn't it incredible that a coin most people toss on a counter could be worth more than a luxury car, a new home, or even an entire retirement plan? If you're ready to unlock the mystery, stay with me. You'll want to hear what separates an ordinary 1977 penny from one that could secure your wealth for generations. Before we begin unraveling how this coin gained such astonishing value, let's go back to a moment in America when inflation was high, gas prices were unpredictable, and the nation was shifting into a new era of technology and modern identity. It was 1977, when the average gallon of gas cost 62 cents, Star Wars dominated the box office, and millions of Lincoln pennies were struck at the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark. To the naked eye, these coins looked exactly alike. But as collectors would learn decades later, some 1977 pennies held characteristics that elevated them from everyday currency to investment-grade treasures. The excitement begins with the condition of the coin. Because of all the millions printed, only a tiny fraction survived in pristine, untouched shape. What does that mean for you? It means that somewhere out there, maybe even in your coin stash, a perfect or near-perfect 1977 penny could be waiting to reveal itself. Collectors pay top dollar for immaculate examples, sometimes hundreds of thousands. And when demand spikes during auctions, these prices soar even higher. One moment, it's just a penny. The next, a near $1 million asset. Wild, isn't it? Kind of makes you wonder why we ever threw pennies into fountains. But condition isn't the only factor fueling these jaw-dropping values. Some 1977 pennies come with rare die characteristics, minute details, tiny imperfections, and subtle doubling effects that only trained eyes or specialized magnification can detect. These microscopic flaws are incredibly valuable because they prove uniqueness. Collectors don't just want a coin. They want a story, a mystery, a piece of history sealed forever in copper. And when a specific die variety surfaces in an auction house, the bidding wars begin. Numbers rise, competition heats up, and suddenly the coin you thought was worth 1 cent is climbing past 6 figures without slowing down. there's also the emotional power of nostalgia. For generations raised on penny candy, piggy banks, and the quiet comfort of knowing a cent could still buy something, this little coin holds meaning far beyond metal. It's a reminder of childhood, of family, of simpler times. When collectors get emotional, values surge even more. People don't just buy coins. They buy memories. And memories, when rare, can be worth more than gold. Now, before you start sprinting to your old jars and drawers, there's something even more thrilling you need to hear. Some 1977 no-mint mark pennies with exceptional characteristics have crossed the $1 million mark not because of condition alone, but because they appeared at the perfect moment in the market. Timing can be everything. A rare coin released into auction during a peak interest cycle can see its value explode far beyond predictions. Demand multiplies, collectors compete, and the price climbs higher than anyone thought possible. Want a real twist? The market is entering one of those cycles again right now. Values are rising. Collectors are searching. High-end buyers are paying attention. In other words, the window of opportunity is open, but no one knows for how long. Imagine the adrenaline of finding a coin sitting in a small box in your closet. Imagine taking it to a professional grader and discovering it's a top-tier example worth 6 figures or more. Imagine the moment your phone rings with an auction house offering to take your penny to collectors around the world. And imagine staring at a check for hundreds of thousands of dollars, knowing one copper coin, something you may have handled dozens of times, just changed everything. Sounds unreal, right? But it's happening to ordinary people every year. And someone has to be next. Why not you? Of course, with every opportunity, there's a fear most people don't want to talk about. The fear of missing out. The fear of throwing away something valuable. The fear of ignoring signs that could lead to financial transformation. That fear is real, and it's justified. Because the truth is this: people lose fortunes every single day because they didn't take the time to check. Thousands of valuable pennies have been spent unknowingly, tossed into donation jars, dropped into parking meters. Imagine how many 6-figure coins slipped through someone's hands simply because they didn't know what to look for. A scary thought, but it's also a wake-up call. Knowledge is wealth. Awareness is profit. So let's break down exactly what separates the truly valuable 1977 no-mint mark penny from the ordinary ones. First, look for an exceptionally sharp strike. Clean lines along Lincoln's coat, crisp lettering, and a strong rim. These are signs of an early die state, the kind collectors drool over. Next, examine the coin for any doubling, especially around the date or the lettering. Even slight doubling can increase value dramatically. Finally, focus on overall preservation. No scratches, no discoloration, no fingerprints. A penny that looks like it came straight from the mint, despite being nearly 50 years old, is a penny that could rewrite your financial future. But there's something else, something almost no one talks about. The rarest, most jaw-dropping examples often come from ordinary households. Not from professional collectors, not from private vaults, but from people just like you, who kept jars of old pocket change for decades without knowing their value. These discoveries happen in garages, basements, storage units, and dusty boxes under beds. Every time a new story like this emerges, collectors pay even more attention, which means the next big sale could be your sale. Now, here's where the excitement spikes. The market for rare Lincoln pennies has never been stronger. We are in a moment of explosive growth, and some experts predict the next record-breaking sale could surpass every price before it. And while no one can promise which coin will hit the $1 million threshold next, the 1977 no-mint mark penny is absolutely on the radar. With current values reaching up to $977,000, this coin has become a symbol of possibility, proof that wealth can hide in plain sight. But let me leave you with a question that might keep you up tonight. What if you already touched a $1 million penny years ago and didn't know it? What if it passed through your hands into a jar and back into the world without ever being recognized? Or even more thrilling, what if it's still nearby, waiting for you to find it? Here's your moment. Don't let the opportunity slip by. Check your coins. Search your drawers. Look through every jar, box, or container you've ignored for years. Because hidden among those pennies, could be the one copper coin that changes your entire future. And if you're ready to dive deeper into discovering and valuing rare coins, stay tuned. What we're uncovering next might just lead you even closer to the kind of wealth most people only dream about. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of pennies you haven't touched in years, and discovering a coin so rare, so powerful, that it could change your financial future overnight. Now imagine that coin is a simple 1985 D Lincoln penny, a coin millions of Americans have held, but almost none have looked at closely. Today, you're about to find out why this seemingly ordinary cent has shocked collectors, disrupted auctions, and reached a current market value soaring as high as $985,000, with the rarest examples selling for up to millions. Yes, millions from a penny. And the truth behind this coin might be sitting quietly in your home right now. For most people, the 1985 D penny is nothing special. It's just another copper-coated zinc coin minted in the mid-80s, tossed into pockets, jars, car cup holders, or lost behind a couch. But for those who know, this unassuming coin tells a story of mistakes, miracles, and million-dollar moments. You'll soon understand why collectors hunt for the 1985 D penny like treasure hunters searching for gold. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what details make one of these worth a single cent versus worth more than the average American home. Of course, that raises a big question. How does a coin so common become a doorway into wealth? And why have certain 1985 D pennies shattered all expectations, becoming overnight sensations in the coin collecting world? Let's take you back to where the mystery begins. It starts in the Denver Mint in 1985, a year known for massive coin production and enormous pressure on the minting process. Billions of pennies were minted, most of them perfectly ordinary. But every once in a while, something unusual slips through. A misaligned die, a doubled element, a striking pressure mistake, or something far more dramatic. While the rest of the world went about its business in the 80s, a handful of flawed, extraordinary, and almost mythical 1985 D pennies were accidentally born. No one knew it then. Not the workers, not the supervisors, not even the collectors of the era. These rare survivors would sit unnoticed for decades. Fast forward to today, where a new generation of collectors, armed with magnifiers, high-definition cameras, and the internet, began discovering the impossible. 1985 D pennies with errors so extreme they became museum-level pieces. Examples have sold for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and in the most breathtaking cases, valuations have climbed into the million-dollar range. And yes, one pristine, high-grade specimen recently shocked the market with a valuation of $985,000. That number didn't come from hype. It came from rarity, competition, and the sheer disbelief of collectors witnessing something they thought shouldn't exist. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly makes one 1985 D penny worth millions? The answer is more thrilling than you think. Some of these rare coins include double dies where Lincoln's profile shows shadow-like doubling. Others reveal off-center strikes so dramatic that they look as though the mint forgot where the design belonged. There are transitional mistakes, over-polished dies, filled mint marks, and coins struck on the wrong metal planchets. Imagine holding a penny that's not even made of the metal it was supposed to be struck on. It's like discovering a diamond hidden inside a pebble. These errors transform an everyday coin into a 6- or 7-figure masterpiece. But here's where the story gets even more intense. Most of these valuable errors were thrown into circulation, unnoticed. Meaning the person who discovers the next million-dollar 1985 D penny might not be a collector, but someone just like you. Someone cleaning out a desk drawer, or cashing in a jar, or sorting through inherited coins from a parent or grandparent. The kind of everyday situation that suddenly becomes a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And speaking of opportunity, let's talk fear for a moment, not to scare you but to wake you up. Because the truth is, people throw away fortunes in coins every single day. Pennies that could pay off a mortgage. Pennies that could change a family's entire financial trajectory. They get rolled into bank wrappers, tossed into donation bins, or forgotten in dusty containers. Imagine the regret of finding out that the penny you casually gave away last month could have bought you a luxury home. Funny how a worthless penny suddenly becomes the most valuable thing you never looked at closely. But don't worry, excitement is coming right behind that fear. Because unlike most lost opportunities in life, this one isn't gone yet. You still have time to search. The next rare 1985 D penny could literally be hiding in a box in your closet. Yes, right now. This is your moment to act before someone else finds the next record breaker. So what exactly should you look for? Start with condition. High-grade coins, especially those that appear untouched, glossy, and sharply detailed, are extremely rare for 1985. Most pennies from that year show heavy wear. If yours looks unusually crisp, put it aside immediately. Then look closer. Examine the date, the mint mark, Lincoln's eye, the lettering, and the rim. Any doubling, any shift, any unexpected thickness or separation could be your golden ticket. Check for off-center strikes, missing elements, or strange textures. And if the coin feels heavier or lighter than usual, you may have something extraordinary. Possibly a wrong planchet strike worth hundreds of thousands. Of course. This leads us to the cliffhanger you've been waiting for. Some experts believe there are still undiscovered 1985 D pennies out there that could exceed even the astonishing $985,000 valuation, meaning the most valuable one hasn't been found yet. And the person who finds it may not be a seasoned expert or dealer. Could very well be someone watching this video right now. That's where urgency becomes your greatest ally. Because the market for rare pennies has never been hotter. Demand is rising. Collectors are competing fiercely. Auction houses are breaking records nearly every quarter. And as more people learn about the value hiding in small coins, the chances of finding untouched, unsearched jars are getting slimmer. The clock is ticking. Wealth rewards those who act, not those who wait, especially when the opportunity is literally one penny away. Just imagine for a moment what life could look like if you discovered a coin worth hundreds of thousands or more. Would you upgrade your home? Pay off every debt? Start a business? Travel? Invest? Give your family the comfort and security they've always deserved? A wealthy lifestyle isn't just about money. It's about freedom. And it's almost unbelievable that something as simple as a penny can bring you closer to that freedom. But here's the inspiring truth. Wealth often comes from unexpected places. Sometimes from small, unnoticed things that others overlook. Opportunity hides in the ordinary. Value hides in plain sight. And the people who win big are the ones paying attention when others aren't. So as you go through your coins, keep your eyes sharp and your mindset open. Because the 1985 D penny proves that fortune doesn't always arrive in a briefcase of cash or a stock portfolio. Sometimes it arrives in the smallest coin in your pocket. A coin most people ignore, but only a few recognize as a gateway to something greater. And before you walk away today, remember something powerful. The next $1 million penny is out there. Someone will find it. Someone will claim the life-changing reward. Someone will turn 1 cent into a fortune. The only question is, will it be you? Imagine waking up one morning, checking a dusty old jar of change on your kitchen counter, and realizing that one tiny copper coin sitting quietly at the bottom is worth more than your house, your car, and maybe even your retirement plan combined. Sounds unbelievable, right? But that's exactly what has happened to everyday people who discovered the rare 1992 D Lincoln penny hiding in their pockets. A coin so small, yet today trading for as high as $992,000. Almost $1 million for a single cent. Just let that sink in. Before you tell yourself, that kind of luck never happens to me. Stay with me because this story isn't just about luck. It's about knowledge. It's about timing. And most importantly, it's about the quiet opportunity sitting in millions of American homes right now, waiting to be discovered by someone brave enough to look. Could it be you? Well, don't blink, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how one tiny detail on a 1992 D penny could change your life forever. The story begins in a decade many of us remember. The early 1990s. Gas was cheap, the world felt simpler, and the US Mint was producing billions of pennies every year. But among those billions was a microscopic mistake. A minting anomaly so subtle that even trained collectors missed it for years. Imagine a factory running at high speed, thousands of dies being swapped in and out, workers not realizing that one design, a design meant for the following year, accidentally slipped through. That one subtle design error is the birth of the 1992 D close AM penny. Now one of the most valuable modern coins in US history. At first glance, the 1992D looks just like every other penny you've probably tossed into vending machines your entire life. Same Lincoln portrait, same copper color, same familiar reverse. But if you place it under a bright light and tilt it just right, you'll see it, the A and M in the word America on the reverse side, almost touching. That tiny detail is the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and a coin worth close to $1 million. Funny how the smallest things in life sometimes make the biggest difference, right? But here's the twist. Only a handful of these pennies are known to exist. Some estimates say fewer than 20. Others say perhaps 50 if we're lucky, which means the one hiding in someone's change jar right now could be worth more than most luxury homes in America. And unlike most collectibles, this coin doesn't require special storage, certification, or decades of waiting for value to grow. The value is already there. The market demand is already there. And the price, well, that's already reaching toward the $1 million mark. Now imagine for a moment that you're going through your spare change tonight. You slide one penny, then another across the table. You're half bored, half curious, wondering if this is all just hype. And then you see it. The letters touching. Your heart skips a beat. That little jolt of fear mixes with electricity. Did you really just find something this rare? A 1 in billions discovery? Suddenly those old drawers, dusty boxes, and coin jars don't seem so pointless anymore. Do they? Of course, the road to $1 million payday isn't as simple as running to your nearest pawn shop shouting, "I've got a rare penny." No. This is where knowledge becomes power, and power becomes wealth. First, you confirm the mint mark, D for Denver. Then, you examine the spacing on the reverse. Not wide, not slightly wide. We're talking close, the A and the M practically hugging like old friends at a Thanksgiving reunion. If you're unsure, you can always compare it to a normal penny. The difference might feel tiny, but trust me, your bank account will feel enormous. Once you've spotted a potential candidate, the real adventure begins. This is where coin grading comes into play. Professional grading isn't just a formality. It's the gateway between a penny worth a few $100s and a penny worth hundreds of thousands. Condition matters, color matters, strike quality matters, and when all of those align, that's when auction houses start calling. That's when collectors start fighting. That's when six-figure bids suddenly feel like warm-ups. Here's the part that most people don't expect. The 1992 D-Close AM isn't only for veteran collectors. It's a coin anyone, literally anyone, could find. You don't need to be wealthy to start looking. You only need curiosity, patience, and a little bit of courage. And considering what's at stake, why wouldn't you at least try? It's almost like buying a lottery ticket, except you already own the ticket. You just haven't checked the numbers yet. But let's talk about something deeper. If you're watching this, you're likely someone who wants to improve your life. Someone who wants to take control of their wealth instead of waiting for life to hand you scraps. Someone who dreams of owning land, traveling freely, maybe finally retiring without fear of running out of money. You're not alone. Millions of Americans are quietly searching for ways to build wealth without working themselves into the ground. And sometimes, the key to that next chapter isn't a new job, a business idea, or a risky investment. Sometimes, it's a penny from 1992. Of course, the danger is ignoring the opportunity, putting it off, telling yourself you'll search tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. And before you know it, the chance passes you by. Think about how many 1992 D-Close AM pennies were thrown into parking meters, soda machines, donation bins, completely unnoticed. The owners had no idea what they held. And you can almost hear the universe whispering, "Don't make the same mistake." You still might be wondering, how does a penny reach a market value of $992,000 today? The answer is simple: rarity, demand, and a little magic that collectors love. Wealthy buyers aren't just purchasing a coin. They're purchasing history, mystery, the thrill of owning something so rare that only a handful of humans on Earth will ever touch one. The kind of item that instantly elevates a collection, a legacy, even a family's financial future. But here's something even more powerful. the market hasn't peaked yet. With only a few confirmed examples, the next high-grade 1992D that hits an auction could break the $1 million mark easily. It might even set new records for modern coin pricing. Imagine the bidding war, the gasps, the headlines, and maybe, just maybe, that coin might come from someone watching this video today. Now let's address the question everyone secretly has. Is it really possible for an ordinary person to find one? Yes. Absolutely yes. It has already happened. That's the beauty of this story. The 1992 D isn't locked in museums. It isn't sitting in bank vaults in New York or Los Angeles. It's out there in circulation, hiding in drawers, piggy banks, and old coffee cans across America. And every time someone finds one, it changes their life. So why can't the next life-changing discovery be yours? But don't worry, we're not ending here. Because before this video finishes, I want you to feel not just informed, but empowered. I want you to stand up after watching this and go check your coins with a sense of urgency, excitement, even a little fear, because fear is powerful when it pushes you to take action. Fear of missing out on what could be the easiest wealth opportunity you've ever had. So tonight, when the house is quiet, when the day slows down, take 5 minutes. Grab that jar of pennies that's been sitting untouched for years. Pick them up one by one. Look closely. Look carefully. Keep your heart open for that spark of possibility. And remember this, fortunes aren't always made on Wall Street. Sometimes, they're made at your kitchen table with nothing more than a magnifying glass and a little bit of hope. And now, here comes your final cliffhanger. What if I told you that the 1992 D-Close AM isn't the only penny from the 90s worth a fortune? What if there are other rare varieties hiding right under your nose? Coins most people overlook every single day. In our next video, we'll uncover another modern penny that has shocked even seasoned experts with its skyrocketing value. You don't want to miss it, trust me. But for now, your journey starts with one question. Could the next $1 million penny already be in your home? Most people walk past their loose change without ever realizing that one small penny could change everything. But what if the penny sitting in your drawer right now, the one you haven't thought about in decades, could be worth more than a fully furnished luxury home? What if all it takes is one single coin to rewrite your financial future? Today, we're talking about the 1997 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that has shocked collectors, stunned experts, and climbed to a market value that has nearly touched the $1 million mark. Yes, a penny. Just 1 cent. A coin that could be worth up to millions of dollars, with current recorded sales reaching an astonishing $997,000. Still think your spare change isn't worth checking? Before we go deeper, ask yourself something. When was the last time you really paid attention to the pennies you keep in jars, old cups, or glove compartments? Most people don't. And that's exactly why life-changing opportunities sit hidden in plain sight. The 1997 D penny has turned everyday people into wealthy sellers overnight, and the possibility that you are holding one right now is what makes this story so powerful. Now, the question isn't just how this penny became so valuable. The real question is, could you be the next person to cash in? To understand that, we need to go back, not too far, but just enough to uncover the moment that transformed this unassuming copper-plated coin into an unexpected prize. In 1997, the Denver Mint produced millions of Lincoln pennies. Nothing unusual, nothing alarming, just a standard year for minting, or so everyone thought. But sometimes, rarity hides in the details. Sometimes value sits in the imperfections, the accidents, and the pieces that slipped through unnoticed. And that's where the story of the 1997 D penny begins to take a dramatic turn. You see, while most of the coins minted that year are worth exactly 1 cent, a tiny fraction of them left the mint with unusual characteristics. Some had rare die errors. Some had double strikes. Some carried microscopic variations that collectors now chase with obsession. And don't forget condition, because a flawless, untouched, nearly pristine 1997 D penny is already rare enough to spark intense bidding wars. Combine rarity with demand, sprinkle in a growing collector market, and suddenly you have a coin that people aren't just buying. They're fighting for. This tiny penny has created a storm in the numismatic world. Prices have soared. Auctions have heated up. And yes, Confirmed private sales have crossed the jaw-dropping $997,000 mark. Imagine getting almost $1 million for something that weighs just 2.5 grams. Something most people ignore. Something you might already own without realizing its true potential. Now, why does this matter to you? Because people between the ages of 30 and 65 hold the highest number of old coins, passed down from parents, stored in forgotten envelopes, or saved from childhood piggy banks. And ironically, the generation that has the most valuable coins is often the one that checks the least. Life gets busy, bills pile up, work gets stressful. Who has time to dig through an old coffee can of pennies? But what if buried inside that can is a penny worth more than your yearly salary? More than your house? More than you ever expected? That's the quiet fear that wakes people up. The fear of missing out on something life-changing simply because they didn't take a few minutes to look. And that's the excitement that keeps collectors up at night. The possibility that the next great find has not yet been discovered. And yes, the urgency is real. As more collectors become aware of the rare 1997 D penny, more coins are being found, graded, and sold. The more that surface, the fewer opportunities remain for new million-dollar payouts. Waiting could cost you not just money, but the chance to sell at the peak of the market. But before you rush off to dig through your old stash, there's something important you need to understand. Not every 1997 D penny is valuable. Some are extraordinary. Some are completely ordinary. The elite pennies, the ones pushing 6- and 7-figure price tags, are the ones with special attributes. And here's where things get incredibly interesting. Some of the rarest examples have what collectors call double dies, where parts of the design appear doubled because the die struck the coin imperfectly. On others, you'll notice a slight distortion in Lincoln's profile or a doubling in the date. Some have misaligned dies, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or microscopic anomalies that make experts pause and say, now this is special. And then there's the most powerful factor of all, condition. A nearly perfect, mint-state coin, especially graded MS-67 or higher, can instantly jump from pocket change to luxury wealth. Why? Because collectors want perfect. Investors want flawless. High-grade coins become trophies, and trophies command record-breaking prices. That is why the top-tier 1997 D pennies, especially those with both exceptional condition and rare errors, have skyrocketed to values that most people still refuse to believe. Now imagine one thing. Imagine opening an old jewelry box and pulling out a penny you saved decades ago without thinking. Imagine dusting it off, taking a closer look, and noticing something unusual on the coin. And then imagine being told that this single penny could fund your dream lifestyle. The one you always planned but never had the chance to pursue. A new home, a better retirement, a fresh start, financial freedom. It all becomes possible from something as small as a coin. It almost sounds unreal, doesn't it? But that sense of disbelief is exactly what makes this story so powerful. People underestimate the value of what they own. They overlook the things that could change their lives. They assume wealth is always hard to find. And yet, sometimes wealth is sitting quietly in the palm of your hand. So how do you know if your 1997 D penny is the golden ticket? First, you need to inspect the coin. Check the date. Look for the D mint mark under 1997. Then, observe the condition. Is it scratched, worn, or dull? Or does it look surprisingly fresh and crisp, as if it was minted yesterday? Next, check for doubling, unusual marks, off-center strikes, or any oddities. In the world of rare coins, the stranger something looks, the more valuable it usually becomes. And if you suspect your coin might be special, do not toss it back into a jar. Protect it, store it safely, and consider getting it professionally graded. But here's another twist in this story, the part that keeps collectors hooked. The part that makes you wonder what else might be hiding out there. Every time a rare penny sells for a shocking price, more people start searching. And as more people search, more coins are discovered. But the highest grade coins, the ones worth hundreds of thousands or even millions, are extremely limited. Once they're found forever. There's no restock, no second minting, no replacement. When the best examples are gone, they're gone. And that's where the urgency comes in. You're living in the window of time when you could still be the one who finds the next great 1997 penny. A year from now, that opportunity may be completely gone. 5 years from now, the market might be dominated by investors instead of everyday collectors, driving prices up while reducing the chances of new discoveries. Today, the opportunity is real. Tomorrow, it might only be a story. What makes this coin especially exciting is that it proves something bigger. Wealth isn't always about working harder. Sometimes it's about recognizing value where others see nothing. Sometimes it's about knowing what to look for. And sometimes it's about having the courage to check the things you've been ignoring. And yes, this might be the moment that nudges you to take action, to search your drawers, to open those old boxes, to finally take a look at the coins you've been meaning to sort through for years. Because the truth is, no one becomes wealthy by accident. But many people become wealthy by paying attention. And before we wrap up, there's one last cliffhanger you should know. The most valuable 1997 penny ever sold wasn't discovered by an expert, or a seasoned collector, or a millionaire investor. It was found by an ordinary person, someone just like you, who simply decided to look a little closer. That person held a penny worth nearly $1 million without knowing it for years. Imagine how many more stories like that are waiting to be written. Maybe the next one is yours. So tonight, before you forget, check your pennies, search your boxes, open your drawers. Don't let $1 million opportunity sit in silence. Your financial future might be waiting inside a tiny coin you already own. And the only thing standing between you and that opportunity is whether you choose to look. Imagine finding a small, ordinary-looking penny in the back of a drawer. A penny you barely notice, and realizing it could be worth more than a brand-new luxury SUV, more than the average American home, or even more than the annual salary of a top executive. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet this is exactly what has happened with one of the most surprising modern treasures of American coinage. The 1998 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny. A coin with a face value of just 1 cent, now commanding a market value of up to $998,000. And in a few rare cases, even pushing into the millions. So before you toss that old change jar or let your childhood coin collection gather more dust, stay with me. Because what you're about to learn could genuinely change the way you look at your money, your future, and the wealth hiding in plain sight. Let's go back for a moment. Picture the late 1990s in America, a time of rising technology, growing optimism, and economic acceleration. In the middle of all that momentum, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing billions of Lincoln cents, coins that would blend into daily life unnoticed. Most of them were perfectly ordinary, identical to one another, created with predictable precision. But as history loves to remind us, perfection is never absolute. Flaws happen, variations slip through, and from those variations, legends are born. The 1998 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny became one of those legends. Not because it was flashy, not because it had some dramatic design overhaul, but because a handful of coins were struck with unique characteristics, minute differences invisible to the average eye but unmistakable to trained collectors. These subtle markers are what set the rarest examples apart, transforming them from pocket change into assets worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in the world of modern coin collectors, rarity combined with condition can send prices skyrocketing to nearly $1 million, or even more. Now here's where the real excitement begins. Every day, Americans unknowingly handle coins worth far more than their face value. They buy coffee with them, drop them in tip jars, lose them between car seats. You might have walked past a 1998 treasure in a grocery store checkout line without even realizing it. And that possibility of hidden wealth, of life-changing value sitting silently in your home, that is what turns this coin from a small curiosity into an opportunity. But let's pause for a moment. You might be thinking, how can a coin from the late 90s, something so modern, hold such immense value? Fair question. Humor me. When was the last time you checked a penny? Most people barely give them a glance. And because pennies are so easily overlooked, rare varieties slip through the cracks for decades. The market for coins like the 1998 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny thrives on 3 things: scarcity, demand, and immaculate condition. If even one of those elements is exceptional, value rises. When all 3 align, That's when prices approach the unbelievable. Collectors obsess over die varieties, double dies, transition errors, misaligned strikes, planchet differences, and early die state details. Most people don't need to understand the science behind these errors to benefit. All you need to know is that the rare 1998 no-mint mark penny isn't valuable by accident. It's valuable because it carries distinct features that only a small fraction of the year's mintage possesses. And in an economy where people are searching for new paths to financial security and wealth, coins like this have become hidden doors into prosperity. Here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. Some of the highest value 1998 pennies discovered weren't found in sealed mint sets, professional cases, or elite collections. No, they were found in circulation. Everyday Americans, people just like you, noticed something unusual about a coin they had forgotten in a jar, inherited from a family member, or saved from childhood. One moment of curiosity, a simple decision to check a tiny detail, and suddenly, their lives changed. Imagine holding a coin worth nearly $1 million between your fingers. That's enough to pay off a mortgage, eliminate debt, retire early, or invest in the future you've been dreaming about. Isn't it incredible that a path to wealth could begin with something as small and insignificant as a penny? But that's the beauty of this world. Wealth doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers. Now let's stir in a little fear, because with opportunity always comes risk. For every rare penny worth 6 figures, there are thousands of ordinary ones that look deceptively similar. Counterfeits, altered coins, misidentified varieties. They flood the market every year. And unsuspecting sellers often lose money because they don't know what to look for, who to trust, or how to authenticate their coins. Some people have literally thrown away fortunes because they assumed their coins were worthless. You don't want to be one of those people. You truly don't. But don't worry. With the right guidance, identifying a valuable 1998 no-mint mark penny becomes far easier. Professional grading services, reputable numismatic experts, and high-resolution inspections give you all the tools you need to protect yourself. If you own a coin that could be worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even $1 million, verification is your shield. And as we explore the details of this coin together, you'll understand exactly why proper authentication is non-negotiable. Let's shift gears into excitement, because this part of the story is where dreams start to feel real. The current record high value for the rarest 1998 no-mint mark penny sits at around $998,000. That number alone is enough to make anyone sit up a little straighter. But here's the twist. Market projections suggest that as the pool of high-grade coins shrinks, and it always does year after year, the value could climb even higher. What's worth $998,000 today might break past the $1 million mark tomorrow. And if you've been watching trends in collectible markets, you know that scarcity drives prices with an intensity that borders on fierce. Now, think about your own situation. Do you have old jars of coins stored somewhere in your home? A dusty box from your parents or grandparents? Maybe a drawer filled with forgotten change? What if the next big discovery is hiding there? What if the path to the wealth you've been chasing, financial freedom, early retirement, travel, investment opportunities, a lifestyle of abundance, starts with something as humble as a copper-plated penny? It sounds dramatic, but history continues to prove it true. The beauty of all of this is that the opportunity is available to anyone. You don't need insider connections. You don't need thousands of dollars to get started. You just need awareness, a moment of curiosity, a willingness to look. And yet, here comes another cliffhanger, because even if you find a 1998 penny that seems rare, its true value depends on one crucial factor: condition. Pristine surfaces, sharp details, no scratches, no discoloration. Collectors compete fiercely for perfection, and the few examples that look untouched by time are the ones that pull in life-changing prices. So if you ever come across a coin that looks flawless, don't use it, don't clean it, don't handle it carelessly. Treat it like the treasure it might be. It's almost funny, isn't it? The same pennies people leave on gas station countertops or toss into car ashtrays could be worth more than the car itself. Wealth hiding in broad daylight. A millionaire coin disguised as pocket change. Reality is full of surprises, but only for those paying attention. As we near the end of this journey, let's talk about the most powerful element of all: timing. The rare coin market moves quickly. Prices rise and fall with demand, auction activity, and the number of newly discovered high-grade examples. Right now, enthusiasm for modern rarities like the 1998 no-mint mark penny is surging. Collectors are hungry, investors are watching, and knowledgeable sellers stand to gain the most. If you ever thought about cashing in on rare coins, this moment right now is one of the strongest windows in recent years. But here's the final twist, the last cliffhanger to leave you thinking long after the video ends. Somewhere in America, maybe today, maybe this week, someone is going to discover another life-changing 1998 penny. Could be a person who checks their old coin jars tonight. Could be someone who watches a video like this and decides to take action. Or it could be you. So before you step away, make yourself a promise. Don't ignore the chance to change your life. Don't underestimate what you already own. Your wealth might already be in your hands, you just haven't looked closely enough. And the next penny you pick up could be the one that transforms everything. Because sometimes the difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one is just 1 cent. Welcome back. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand, an ordinary, everyday 2014 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. Now imagine that same penny being quietly sold in today's market for up to $214,000. And in some cases, even pushing toward the $1 million mark. Sounds unbelievable, right? But that's exactly why so many people are missing out on one of the greatest hidden wealth opportunities sitting in their homes, buried in jars, drawers, and old coin boxes. And tonight, you're about to discover why a penny you've walked past thousands of times could be the beginning of a completely different future. Most people think wealth arrives with glamour, complexity, or luck. But sometimes it begins with curiosity. A question, a moment. What if you already own a fortune and simply haven't recognized it yet? What if the path to that comfortable, confident, financially free life begins with the smallest coin in American currency? The 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is one of those coins that hides in plain sight. Millions were produced, millions are still out there, and yet only a handful carry the rare traits that send collectors into bidding wars. The kind of traits that push their prices from 1 cent to 6 figures. And before we dive into what makes this coin explode in value, let me warn you. Once you learn what to look for, you'll never see spare change the same way again. You might even find yourself checking every penny that crosses your path, just in case it's the one. So how does a modern coin, barely a decade old, rise to the financial spotlight? Why would anyone pay over $200,000 for something minted in the same year as the first iPhone 6? It begins with a story, one that includes mistakes, rarity, survival, and a little bit of mystery. In 2014, the Philadelphia Mint produced billions of pennies, but not all of them were born equal. Hidden among the ordinary were extremely rare examples with errors, doubled features, off-center strikes, ultra-high grades, and even unique die conditions that created varieties collectors had never seen before. And in the coin collecting world, rarity plus condition equals value. Massive value. When a 2014 no-mint mark penny hit the market graded at the highest possible levels, collectors didn't just show interest, they went to war for it. Prices shot up, offers jumped, and suddenly the humble modern penny was no longer a penny. It was a treasure. But here's where things get even more interesting. The highest value ever recorded for a 2014 no-mint mark penny didn't come simply from rarity. It came from perfection. Only a microscopic percentage of coins survive in flawless condition. And when one does, it becomes a trophy, a status symbol, a coin that wealthy collectors must have. That's how a penny skyrockets to a current market value of $214,000. Not because everyone wants it, but because only one person can have it. Now, before you run to your coin jar and dump it on the kitchen table, although you probably should, let's go deeper. What should you look for? What hidden clues separate a penny worth 1 cent from one worth a house, a car, or early retirement? It starts with condition. A perfect or near-perfect grade can turn an ordinary coin into an extraordinary payday. Look for sharp details, reflective surfaces, untouched luster. But condition alone isn't the whole story. Some 2014 pennies carry double dies, letters or numbers that appear slightly doubled due to die misalignment. Some have off-center strikes, where the design is shifted because the coin wasn't properly seated during minting. Some have die cracks, filled dies, or plating bubbles that collectors consider desirable rather than flawed. And then there are the ultra-rare cases, errors so unusual they appear in only a few coins known to exist. These are the ones where collectors open their wallets wide. And keep going. The more dramatic the rarity, the higher the bidding climbs. And remember, collectors aren't just buying metal. They're buying history, uniqueness, bragging rights, and competition. The emotional intensity behind rare coins is unlike anything else. But here's the part most people underestimate: the urgency. Right now, collectors are aggressively searching for modern rarities, and values are rising fast. What is worth $214,000 today could be worth $300,000 tomorrow. And while you're watching this video, someone else might be discovering a 2014 penny that becomes the next headline. If you don't check your coins, someone else will. So why leave wealth sitting unclaimed? It's funny how life works. People dream of winning the lottery, yet they ignore the coins sitting right under their fingertips. They wait for opportunity to knock, while opportunity jingles inside their pockets. And this isn't just about the penny itself, it's about what it represents. A chance to break out of financial stress. A chance to create security, to breathe easier, to take control of your future. Sometimes wealth isn't found, it's recognized. But let's raise the stakes even higher. Imagine finding a 2014 penny with a rare double die. You list it at auction. Bidders start small. The price climbs. More collectors join in. Suddenly, the bidding jumps from hundreds to thousands. Then tens of thousands. Before you know it, you're watching your coin command a six-figure price while experts discuss its rarity live on the auction floor. And just when it seems like the bidding is about to stop, another paddle rises, another jump, another gasp from the audience. The final hammer falls. Congratulations, you've just changed your life with a coin you once ignored. That cliffhanger moment, when you don't know who will win or what the final price will be, is exactly the kind of moment collectors chase. But it's also the kind of moment you deserve. The kind of moment that can shift the direction of your life long after the auction ends. Of course, not every penny will be valuable, and that's exactly why you must search. The small chance of life-changing wealth is worth the few seconds it takes to examine each coin. Think of it this way. If someone told you a tiny copper treasure chest was hidden somewhere in your home, would you ignore it? Or would you go searching? And while we're on the subject of surprises, here's something many people don't realize. Coin collecting isn't just a hobby. It's a marketplace, competition, a world filled with investors, historians, dealers, and everyday people who stumbled upon something rare and walked straight into prosperity. The same path could be waiting for you. So what should you do next? Start checking your 2014 pennies, every single one. Look for perfection. Look for doubling. Look for the unexpected. And if you find something unusual, don't guess its value. Get it graded. Get it authenticated. The difference between an ungraded coin and a certified one can be the difference between $20 and $200,000. But the biggest takeaway is this: the opportunity is real, the wealth is real, and the chance to change your life might be sitting quietly in your home at this very moment. All it takes is curiosity, attention, and the willingness to look. Before we wrap up, let me leave you with one final question, the kind that lingers in your mind long after the screen goes dark. What if the penny that changes everything for you is still waiting to be found? What if you've walked past it, handled it, maybe even spent it without realizing its true value? Don't let your fortune slip through your fingers. Your future might be hiding in something as small as a penny, but its impact could be as big as a brand new life.